Hello everyone. It's Catherine here from Minky Fingered Cat, which you already know because you've come to my video. So this is now about an hour after I filmed my last video where I completely lost the card. Hang on. Within an hour I've lost the card. Yeah, so I made this card using some new Altenew stamps, and I thought I'd go for this other set, the Rosy Outlook set, and make another card with all of the lessons that we learned last time, which is use the stamping platform, learn how to layer up, go with a very light colour first. We'll use all of those lessons, and I thought I'd have a go with this one because it's exactly the same idea as last time. So we have the stamps, of which there are 7 different items that you're stamping, but they're all layering stamps. Altenew are brilliant. They give you some lovely ideas of how you can make them, etc. And also they give you this layering guide. So what I've worked out, which I didn't really look at last time, the thing to layer on the last one was there was some stamen in the middle, and that seemed to work for me for layering it up. This one, it's giving you like the blue thing coordinates with that blue line, that green line coordinates with that, and those yellow lines coordinate with those, that green line coordinates with those. That's how you're going to end up with stamping it in the right place. So I'm hopeful this is going to be easy, but you know, if it's not, it's not. I've cut a piece of cardstock to just over 8 by 8. I am going to stamp and die cut all of these because I have got the coordinating dies. What am I doing? Don't want to do that. I want to find an A1 and a B1. Right, where's the B1? There's the B1, because they're both going to be stamped in, it helps if you put the stamp the right way up, Catherine, in the palest colour. And then also F1 and G1 want to be stamped in that same colour. And the way I know that is because this is telling me these are all in that pale pink, which they've put as pink diamond. Now I'm not going to do pink, but at least I know that's my palest colour. Now, do I also want to do my greens at the same time? No, because I'm going to have to come back in on the B with greens later. Okay. But I thought this way, if I stamp them like this, I might need another piece of card to do the leaves and the stems and stuff. But I might be able to get 4 out of this. What do you reckon? That's a quarter, isn't it? Maybe just make it a teensy bit smaller. I want to be able to die cut them though, so I want them to go like so. Right. Pick up my stamps in my stamp platform, and I've actually gone with yellows this time. Last time I had pinks and yellows and some dark pinks. This time we're just going to go with pale yellow. So the first colour I'm starting with is So Saffron. I use Stampin' Up inks usually for this kind of stamping. I've realised I've not put my glasses on again, did that last time. Which is fine on this first layer, but when I need to actually stamp it and layer up the stamps, I really could do with knowing where I'm stamping. I'm also thinking I could do with one of those, you know, those things that people are using on videos these days to, you know, stop it being quite so painful on the hands. It's also not really stamping very well on that. There we go. So now it's giving it enough of a coat. Right, I'm going to turn it and do the same with the So Saffron. Have I got anything that will work as a burnishing tool? I don't think I have. I'll have a think about that and see what I can find that I can fashion into one. Works nicely. I'm trying to just do 1 layer. I managed to do 2 layers of the So Saffron on that one, just to keep this as pale as possible. I'm going if that'll work. I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe if I put a bit of felt on that, that would work. Nice. It's just not catching that bottom end, is it? Ah, well. Sure, it'll all come out in the wash, as they say. Yeah, I reckon if I put some felt on that, that might work. Well, what happens if I use my little cleaning cloth? Oh, that works nicely. Although I actually just don't think I put ink on that bit. Or maybe it's because that's in the way. Well, let's go for a... I think I'll just have to double ink these ones. Or do we need to put that? It's not big enough. That's going to be too thick. It's sort of to act like a shim. That one's been through a big shot, so it might be a little bit. That'll work. Right. So, bit of faffing going on then, sorry. Want to just wipe off my stamps. And then we need to layer them up. Right, let's have a look. So A2, we are lining up. Let's have a look at the layering guide. This edge and that top edge. So that looks to be nicely done, right? B2 doesn't have any edges on it, but it's a fairly obvious bumpy top bit, I think. And then I can see these sort of indentations here. That's going to line up with those bits. So that looks reasonably easy to do. Bumpy top bits. And then those indentations where the white is. For that one. Right. F2 is these top parts. That doesn't look like it's the right one, but it must be. Maybe it just didn't stamp very well. And I also think I just slightly adjusted that one. Let's go back to it. And then G2. Again, we're just lining up the top part, I think. My fingers keep knocking it. Struggling a little bit with that. It's sort of sticking to my fingers a bit. I think that makes them all nice. Right, I'm going to be really careful not to adjust the cardstock, touch anything. Press down hard so that I know I'm picking them up. Put my paper back in the corner. Now this time, I'm going to swap the ink and go for the next colour, which is Daffodil Delight, which is quite bright yellow, but it's definitely a bit darker than the So Saffron. So I think this is going to be nice on top. And where's my little fashioned doofer to just press down to make sure that we've got all of that inking done. Oh, that's nice. Like. Right, we're going to put that back in the corner. Ink up our yellow again. Those are beautiful. I can already tell I love this one. I think I might love this more than the other one, and I thought it would be the other way around. It just goes to show you don't know until you play with them. Oh, yes. Now, I know it looks a little bit mottled, but it will sort of even itself out a little bit as it dries, because that's what dye ink tends to do. It would probably be better if I I was using a better cardstock. So if I was using like the Stampin' Up cardstock, that's really good for stamping on, and it evens out a lot more. This is cheap cardstock from Hobbycraft, which I am not entirely in love with, but there you go. It'll do. And oh, this is beautiful, this rose. Loving it. So yeah, it will even out a bit more, but also as we add the next layers on, it'll start to cover up a little bit of that patchiness where it's a bit patchy. But also, you know what, it's a handmade card that at the end of the day, I'm going to be making a handmade card, and it's not meant to be perfect. It's not printed off, it's not mass produced off a printer. It'll be fine. Now I'm conscious I didn't put those stamps back, so let's make sure we do that now. So we get them in the right place. And that's that one. This one is G1, G2, G1. Oh, it should have been F1 and F2. Okay, right, what are we on now? We're now on A3. And the bit that we are lining up is that bit with that bit. It's like a green line, and also there should be this bit here at the top here should line up with that bit there. I think that's it. Just check that's there, that's there. I can say that doesn't, there we go. Right, okay, so just so I'm clear, better looking at the yellow parts than the green. Look at the yellow. That's the bit that you're trying to line up. So there's a yellow bit there, and then this is where that indentation is there. That's where that's going to line up. Okay. Just before I put my hand in the ink pad. Right, we also want a B3, and this one is B3. And B3, we are going to be lining up. Oh, helps if you put it the right way around, Catherine. Just going to line up that triangle bit at the bottom, I think. And then there's a triangle bit there, jutting in, that goes around this part here. That seems to work. Just make sure I've got it lined up. There we go. I think that's right. And F3. Can't find F3. F3 is there. And that is again just going to line up with the very bottom and that curve going round, and I don't think I did a brilliant job on it last time, so it might not look perfect, this one, but never mind. And then G3 is just going round. See how it's just slightly indented there? That's where that wants to go. This is going to be a trickier one to do, I can tell. I also seem to have very sticky fingers. And it's quite a wobbly piece. Okay, there's all those 4 pieces. I'm going to pick those up. I just double check that that didn't move. That's all fine. That looks fine. That looks okay. Right. It's that bottom one I'm most concerned about, that it probably isn't lined up very well. Right, this time I'm going for Hello Honey, which is definitely a darker, more sort of mustardy yellow. Let's see what happens with that. Where's my homemade doofer? So just pushing it down. Sorry for wobbling you. Love it. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so you can see that corner. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Sorry for being so wobbly. I hope I'm not making you seasick. Do you know what? That one that I was worried about looks perfect. Yeah, that's right. Just looked weird suddenly. And I'm like, oh, why does it look like that? But I think it's still correct. Actually thinking I probably should have gone with another layer of Daffodil Delight rather than such a dark yellow, but I do like it. Definitely struggling with that point, aren't we? It just seems to be sort of maybe not as even anymore. I don't know. It's quite an old stamp platform now. I wonder if it's slightly warped. Just delightful. Delightful. Right. So these two don't have a fourth section, so I don't need to worry about those. But B4, which is this tiny bit, literally just goes over that little bit there. So again, a bit fiddly if they get them to stick to your fingers, so I'll fiddle with that in a minute. Let's put these ones back. And A4 I think goes in this middle section. So what am I lining it up with? I'm lining it up with that line there. Okay, so that I'm happy with. It's this one that's a bit fiddly, mainly because it just keeps sticking to my fingers. Wondering, just use my tweezers to get it into place because it's they're less sticky than my fingers. That, oh no, maybe they're not as maybe they're just as sticky as my fingers. That seems right. Right, okay. Don't breathe, anyone. Woo. Right, I was going to go Tangelo Twist, but I think I'm just going to go in with another version of this first and see what that looks like, because I don't want to go too dark. Let's see what that does. You know what, I'm going to try a Tangelo Twist and just see what happens if it's really quite dark orange, this. I'm just thinking it might be too orange. See what happens if I don't re-ink it. Quite like that. That's all right. Do you think that's in the wrong place though? So let's have an adjust. I think maybe it needs to be more like that. Let's go back in with the Hello Honey rather than Tangelo Twist and see what happens. I just think it's a bit orange, that's all. That's better, I like that. Okay, we'll stick with just the Hello Honey. Doesn't matter that those two are different. I'll go back over them in a minute. Actually, if I go back over that one, it might ruin that last one, but let's see what happens. It's only a piece of paper at the end of the day. I've got 3 other lovely roses. Really won't matter. But obviously I've put that in a different place. No, that's fine. Looks fine. Okay. So, what have we learnt with that? We've learnt that these are a bit easier than the other ones, I think, because the layering guide's giving you that really big clue as to which bit you're layering up. But they are a bit fiddly, especially these teeny tiny pieces. I think I've just put that on upside down. Okay, so I'm now going to do the leaves, and I think I might have room to do the leaves here. Right, so let's do a D1 and an E1. so then they're not going to go over each other. Right, pick them up. What I'm going to do though is just turn that round because I think they were just on the seam. So for this, let's put my Tangelo twist away because we're not using it. I'm going to go in with Parakeet Party, which is one of my favourite Stampin' Up colours. It's one of their in colours that's out at the moment. It's from last year though, so it's only going to be around for a little bit longer. I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, lovely. It's going to be quite a bright green, that, I think, but maybe the others will tone it down a little bit. Oh, I've realised I need to go in and do the other parts of the bud. And the little bud, and I've forgotten about the little bud. Okay, well. We'll go back round again in a minute. We'll just do these four whilst I think about it. Then I need to do the B5 and the C3. Okay. Ooh. So if you're doing all of them, it is a bit complicated and you do have to think about it in terms of all of them. If you're doing it like this, so you're trying to do multiples at once. And the reason I'm doing multiples at once is just because it makes it easier. Got them all done, all in one go. Right, let's go back. So C3. And B5. B5. I'm wondering if I'm stamping those too close to each other. That'll be all right. Okay, let's I don't need these on anymore. I don't want them to put up extra ink, so let's take these off. So this is D1 and E1 coming off, but I'm going to carry on with the same Parakeet Party colour, which I should have added all at the same time. Ooh, you see I've got that slightly off. So we're going to adjust it to make sure that when it goes down for the next one, it's in the right place. Okay. I think that's right. Might have pulled it up too far this time. Let's see. Again. No, that's not quite right, is it? We'll get this right one at some point. It will be right. Right, we want that and that. And that's it. Try again. Sorry, I hadn't realised how much that wobbles. That's almost perfect. Right, I'm going to go back. And I know it's going to be double stamped, but I think it'll stamp it nicer that way. There we go, that's fine. It just looks like there's two leaves. And we're going to do the same here. And I know that's double inked, that stamp as well, but it'll be fine. Right, let's do this side because we haven't done this one. This is also the joy of doing it 4 times, is you can adjust it. So if you've done it wrong, it's fine. You're not having to go back and do everything again because you've got your spares almost. Oh, she says almost throwing the camera on the floor. Apologies. I think I need a more stable camera mount somehow. That doesn't seem to have been quite right either. This feels like it's just gone a little bit low. Let's just do that one again. They'll have all been double stamped at this point. That'll be fine. A little bit of white. It's fine. It goes with the rest of it. It looks like a highlight. That'll do. Again, these are what? They are the joy that is a handmade card. So it's not meant to be perfect. They're meant to be unique. Right, so that will be the next layer for that is C4. So then we also need a D2, which is going there. And we also need an E2, which is there. Sorry, that's B6. So here we need the C4. Just going on here. Right, let's have a fiddle. See if we can get these right. Right, do you know what? I think we're also going to go over here, because what I'm realising is I'm getting them so close to each other that I'm struggling to do them without touching the next one along. This one looks nice, and that I think is right. Okay. So these are the next colour of green that we're after. So I've chosen Lucky Limeade. Again, you could just go in with the same colour ink and it will just darken because you're increasing the amount of pigment that you're putting down. But in this case, I'm actually going for a dark colour of green. What I am conscious of is the fact that this is not the juiciest of ink pads, so I am going to just do this one at the bottom again, just because I just don't think it was grabbing the ink as much. Right, let's see what happens on this one. That doesn't seem to be quite in the right place, does it? Oh, it's because that's there. I wonder if we go slightly over. That'll work. So I'm just adjusting that thing that's in the background because it's it was just slightly on the edge. So it was just taking it off a little bit. Again, all these things won't matter. Once you start die cutting them out and layering them up, no one will notice anyway. And there's only you knows how it's meant to look, because you were the one that was following a pattern and deciding on how you want it to look in the first place. So I think don't aim for perfection, just aim for something that's pretty. That's what I'm doing. Aiming for pretty. I'm actually thinking that this should have been layered much further down, that stamp. So I'm thinking I'm gonna take all these off, put them away, but I'm gonna redo this one. Not redo entirely, but you know, I'm gonna try and layer it up again. And I know it means it's gonna be layered twice in different places, but I still think it'll look fine. Right, let's just see see what happens. I'm thinking that it should have been aligned with the bottom, and I think I've gone further up rather than the bottom. I think that's where it should be. So let's have a look. Looks rubbish, won't do any others, just do the one. Well, I've done it in almost exactly the same place. Okay, well, let's try it over here. Maybe it needs to be lined up over here. Again, worst comes to the worst, I just won't include this bud. Or I'll do this bud another way. I think that's how it's meant to be. I don't think that one looks too bad, but this one looks a bit weird, so we'll do this one again. Right. Final bits, I think. So we have done all of those bits, but we need to do the bud needs to have its yellow bit in. Which I think is probably going to go there. And then the leaves need their final pieces. So it's a D3 and an E3. And then a B7. Right, okay. An E3 and a D3. So this is my D3. And I am lining it up with that edge on the left hand side there. Except for that's the wrong stamp, Catherine, so ignore me. I'm lining it up with the edge on this side. And the veins down the middle. That's what I'm aiming for. Vein down the middle and the edge. This one, we're going to go here. And again, we're going to go with the vein down the middle and the edge on this side. Okay, so let's pick those up. And then the last one is this B7 that's meant to go over here in this very corner. And again, it's one of those fiddly ones. So, oh, that's on the wrong thing, Catherine. Don't be daft. Dull. It's over here on this bud. So it's really important that you read the instructions and have a little bit of a pause. Have I checked that right? Right, I'm going to move that because these need to be green, that needs to be yellow. Let's put that over here. So it's very much out of the way. I'm not going to get things mixed up by accident. Okay. Put my paper back in straight. Let's do the yellow bit first. This is where it would have been ideal not to be mixing the colours. And this time I want to go in with Old Olive for that, and this and this. And again, my Old Olive is really not very juicy anymore. So I just need to be mindful of that when I'm inking up. And it may be that it needs 2 stamping versions. That looks terrible. Definitely thinking we're not going to be using the bud. It's definitely not right. Okay, let's try again. I think maybe that's the right one. But yeah, if it ends up looking rubbish, it's just a piece of paper, and the rest of it looks fab. I mean, that and that as flowers look amazing. And if that's all we end up using, that's all we end up using on this go. That's terrible now. Why is that terrible? I've just used the wrong colour, so don't do that. That would be a disaster, wouldn't it? Just have a quick spritz and have a proper clean. Seems I've just put yellow all over my green stamps, which is not the intention at all. They're all cleaned now. Bash the thing again. Right, green. I don't think the old olive is the right colour to be using as well. I'm thinking that looks really bad as well. Okay. So, what are we thinking? That bud looks better though, doesn't it? So that's positive. Let's go back in with Lucky Limeade rather than the old olive, because I'm not as keen on the old olive coming through. And let's see if that looks better on those leaves. Yeah, I think it was that one was in the wrong place. I don't know how. That looks fine. This is looking good. This is looking fine. So I think we'll just adjust that stamp again. So it is very much a bit of a play thing, which is fine. That's why we craft, play, isn't it? And that looks like it lined up nice, but then the others have looked like they've lined up nice, and then it looks weird. And I'm now thinking, have I just moved the cardstock? No, it's still fine. Okay, right. Let's ink up those. Let's ink up our... What colour are we meant to be doing the yellow? I think it was this one. Might not have been that one. Should have been the Daffodil Delight, I think. But, you know. I think there is one last stamp to do. And that is... I do think that that should have been in the Daffodil Delight, not in the Hello Honey. So, even though it's meant to be giving you shade, we'll go with Hello Honey next. We'll go with Daffodil Delight next. It still will add some darkness because it's another layer of pigment. But this is the C2 and it should be on that bit of the petal there. Right. That's adding nothing. Gonna have to go in with the Hello Honey. Do another layer of that instead, just to darken it up. That works. Now this is the Terrible Bud. Probably won't end up using that one anyway. This one looks okay. Just adding that depth down that corner, isn't it? Well, I think overall, positive results. Some better than others, admittedly, but generally I'm quite happy with that. So I'm just going to put all the inks away for the moment, and then I'm going to do a bit of a clean up. I think this cleaning cloth needs to be chucked into the wash. Make sure we've got all our stamps put away. Back onto the stamp sheet so we don't lose any by accident. And then the next thing will be is that we want to die cut all of this. So the great news, again, by doing it this way, is we are just going to die cut it 4 times. I am just going to go like so. Because that's 1/4. There's another 1/4. And another quarter. So we're going to die cut it 4 times. So the way I line my die cuts up is literally with a bit of washi tape. I've realised I've not done any stems. Might have to do those separately. I'll probably do those off camera. But I take my die cuts and I basically just line them up, use a bit of washi tape to make sure that they stay in place, and then move on to the next one. So this will be the bigger leaf, and obviously some of these where I've not stamped perfectly, they're going to look a little bit odd and they won't have as perfect a white line round, but that's fine. I'm quite happy with that. You can obviously fussy cut these things as well. They're not too difficult to shape to fussy cut, I don't think. I'm just curious when it comes to these sort of loose petals, how they use those. Oh, they literally just use them as loose petals coming down, so I probably won't end up using those, but we'll see. We'll see. You never know. So yeah, so I'm going to do all of this off screen because I'm conscious I've already been on for 40 minutes. Okay, so I've had lots of fun die cutting. I've die cut all my coloured ones out, and then I've die cut loads of white ones out so I can stack them. And then I thought, right, I'm going to do the stems just in case I need them. I'm not entirely sure whether I do want them or not. I just put all these over to one side. But I thought I'd show you a little trick that I learnt, which is die cut yourself a little template. Okay, this is for when, especially, this is for stamping loads of die cuts and making sure that they're all straight, is one of the good ideas. But also this is specifically with these really thin wiggly ones where they can be quite flexible, so they can bend and then they won't fit your die cut. This is a way of making sure that they fit your die cut. So cut yourself a little template. I am just going to literally stick that into place with some washi tape because I don't want it to shift at all, and I think I'll just be getting annoyed if I keep having to move it. Okay, what I'm going to do is grab my stamps, and this, you see how you can bend them, and what you want is to not bend it. You want it to be exactly the same shape as the die cut so that it will always be in the right angle. But you can see how they're wiggly, but when you've got this die cut shape here, it helps if you've got a thicker card. I haven't got a thick card here, but it means that you can almost slot it in and it fits nicely in the grooves where the die cut hole is, which allows you to line it up. And it's like those puzzle pieces that little kids have. My great nephew was playing with one at the weekend, which is like foam, and it's got the holes, and you push it through and you can just slot it into place, and you wiggle it around and it fits into place. Really helps them with their dexterity. So it's a bit like doing one of those. So then when you pick them up, you've not got the danger of you've now wiggled it into a slightly different curve. Okay, because I've stuck it down, it's in the right place, and now all I need to do is slot my die cut back in. Again, really helps if you've got a thicker cardstock than this. I'm going to just ink one to show you, but obviously you can do it with all of them at the same time. When you press it down, okay, sometimes it lifts up with the stamp, but now you've got your perfectly stamped and die cut skinny thing, and it works perfectly. So I'm going to do the rest of them off camera again. Okay, me again. So I've stamped all of my little stems that are all nice and done, and what I'm going to do is just literally slot that in so I keep it with the stamps, so that I know for next time I don't need to redo this. Again, ideally I'd do it in a thicker cardstock because then it slots in much nicer, but it did a trick. It did exactly what it needed to for that. I just think that's a really handy trick. Sometimes use it for when I'm doing sentiments as well, that I want to sit within a particular die cut shape. That's also sometimes really useful to do it that way. So you die cut the shapes first, and it also means you can die cut multiples and then stamp directly on top. I think that would be another good technique for doing these layering stamps as well. So I'm going to tidy up now and come back probably to film the rest of this card making at some other point. So obviously for you it'll be a couple of seconds, but for me it may well be an entirely different day, just because I'm running out of time before tea, and also my battery's running out on my camera. So yeah, I will see you again in a few seconds. For you, goodness knows for me. Okay, so it's a little while later, and I have basically stuck together all of my die cuts. So you can see here that there are a couple, well, I don't know if you can see or not, but they're basically all at least 2 thick. There are a couple like this one which is actually 3 layers thick. I don't know if you can see that or not. So some of them I had die cut just that few more times by accident, but it, you know, it's all fine. I've got a yellow card blank here that's just slightly shorter than normal, and I've just put some craft card on it because it was to hand and I thought it would work with the colours of this. And I just thought I'm going to create a little cluster. We'll see what happens. These ones I haven't stacked because I was thinking that they're going to sit behind anyway. But I thought that they would go like so. Might want that more curly. Probably not going to use all of those stems, that's for certain, but you know, I'm just thinking that something along those lines would be quite sweet, maybe with a few of the petals coming out at the bottom like so. Not particularly set on that being exactly what it is, but I do want to do something with the background now. Last time I made the card I did white, and I didn't end up liking how it looked because I tried the stenciling. Well, the stencils really are for masking, for doing like 1 layer cards or 1 layer layouts, whereas this I've done it as a die cut layout. I think what I'm going to do is put all of these bits into an empty pouch if I've got one to hand. I think I have got one somewhere here. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? There we go, empty one. So I'm going to put all these bits into a pouch. And I know I've not got much longer now. Tea is nearly ready, but I've had enough time to be able to do all that gluing, sticking bits and pieces together. I'm wondering about maybe instead of there we maybe put another one down here. I don't know, maybe coming out over here. Just feel, I'm not entirely sure about these petals, whether they should just stick like so. Oh, that's quite nice, quite like that. What do I reckon? But I definitely feel like we need to do a background to that. I've actually got another piece of that yellow, and I'm just wondering if we just do something with the yellow. Right, let's go see what I come up with. Okay, so this is the idea I came up with. Was I toyed with a few different things like swirls and some stamping, but I thought this little sort of like grid background would look quite cool. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go and stick it all down. In fact, I'm going to do that on camera. Yeah, I'm going to stick it all down. I'd already stuck that piece down. So with this, I actually don't mind it being a bit rough around the edges and sticking up a little bit, but I'm going to make sure that it's not going to lift too much. So I'm going to put some glue down here, but I'm really just putting very small amounts, but dotted all over, in the hope that that will just secure it in place. Now, I'm doing it by eye, I'm not measuring, but I want to leave it so that there's a reasonably similar border all the way around. Now, this particular die is completely straight, but I just laid my piece at an angle because I didn't want it to be completely straight, and I think that works quite nicely. Right, well, let's start with these bottom pieces that we're going to put down here. Really do need to put some more glue in my little glue bottle because it's definitely running out. So I'm going to put that one going down there, and we're going to put this one off to the side, so. Then we want this coming out over here. Now I want to make sure I don't go off the edge of the card because otherwise it won't fit in an envelope. I know that it's going to be taller than most standard envelopes, but that's fine. I'm gonna just see where that's going, and that's going there. So do you know what? We're going to put a blob of glue there. Seems like the sensible way of doing it. Now, this one going over there, do I think? Yeah. Oh, I need it long enough that it'll fit behind our little rosebud. But we don't mind that it's half under the rosebud and half not. Then this one needs to come up here. Again, this is going to go beneath our rosebud that's going up there. There we go. And then find one of the leaves down here. Right, I'm going to use a bit of craft foam because even though this is quite a deep die cut, as in it's quite a few deep, I think it would be sensible to just raise this up a little bit on some foam here because these are also a couple deep, and it'll just give us that bit more stability for our rose. So let's pop that down there. Remembering that's all going to get covered by our rose that's going to sit over the top, and that I think will just give it that bit of stability in the centre of the rose, so it's not going to be pushed down or get soggy. I don't mean soggy, I mean saggy if something was to press on it. Okay. Oh, I think that's all of it stuck down, so we now just need to do a sentiment and maybe some gems or some pearls or something to finish off. Okay, tea has been eaten, but before tea I stamped out this sentiment, which is from Concord and Ninth Bow Hope and Butterfly. I'm going to pop that on there, but I was just thinking about putting a twine bow behind it. I just got spied on by my daughter. Don't know what she was spying on me for. I was just thinking maybe putting that there. You know, we've got that little bit of soft effect. Let's see if we'll just zoom in and you can see what I'm on about. I just think it just adds a little bit of softness. So I think we need something to hold that bit up. And for a change, I am going to use a foam tab. Just because I think it'll be slightly more visible from the side than, you know, when I use normal foam, and I don't really mind that whatever colour it is. On this one, I think I want it to look white there. I am going to use my Pinflair glue gel to just stick that down, then put that along there, which will hold it, just throwing everything on the floor, in place. Ta-da! I'm contemplating adding something. Let me just see what I've got. Oh, I said ooh because I've got some like glittery bits. I think are a yellowy colour. I think they will be perfect. So not the orange, but these yellowy ones. One there, another big one over there, and then the medium-sized one just there. I think that's got a greeny haze to it, but that'll be fine. It might just look different because it's on the craft card. There we go. Cute little thank you card. I'm saying little because it's just slightly shorter than my normal A6 cards, just because I'd obviously taken a strip of the yellow on a previous project. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Please do give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. I hope you find these tips useful in terms of doing these sort of layered stamp sets. I think I like this one more than the other one in terms of I like the finished effects. I think I'm going to have to play more with the other one. I did really like it, don't get me wrong, but I just think I'm going to have to play with it a bit more to get to learn how to use it a bit better. This one came together a lot easier, even though obviously you saw I had to fiddle faddle a bit. What I will say is, you know, there was some of them where I hadn't stamped it right. So like this board, it isn't stamped perfectly, but you know what? It's absolutely fine. The leaves aren't lined up perfectly. It's absolutely fine. Nobody else is going to notice that. So don't despair when you're doing it if things don't line up perfectly. Carry on, see what happens when you've die cut them out. If you start putting the project together, you're probably never going to notice that they aren't perfect. So as I said, thumbs up. Please do, if you liked it, obviously thumbs down if you didn't. Please do subscribe. I'm not particularly consistent in posting, but when I'm in the mood for video, and I tend to do a few on the run, so it tends to come up a few and then you'll have nothing for a month. So subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to know when they come out. Until next time, bye bye.